Hi, ladies. Welcome to another episode of the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I am so excited today. I have a fantastic guest expert with me who's going to be sharing so much value. She is a marketing guru and consultant. Her name is Gurjinder Bhogal, and aka the Magnetic Marketer if you're looking for her on socials. And I'm so excited to speak with her today. We actually are part of a mastermind, so we've already kind of ascertained that we have a lot in common in terms of our values and our approach to marketing businesses online. And you are literally a guru of all things, aren't you? I'm looking at some of the things that you've achieved already. You had a marketing business offline before you came online. So you absolutely, again, just, you have the resilience of a business owner that you can only get when you've had that offline experience, I think. But would you like to introduce yourself firstly? Thank you so much for being here.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you for inviting me. Super excited to be sharing my knowledge with you guys. So I'm Gurjinder Bhogal, and I'm actually an accidental business owner. Never wanted to be a business owner. I also didn't study marketing at uni because it was part of a business studies degree. And I was like, I definitely don't want to be a business owner. So this whole thing came about accidentally, but there's been a drive to stop me going back to corporate, which has just meant I'll make it work and I'll do whatever it takes to make my business work. And more recently, I've been supporting now smaller business owners become more comfortable doing their own marketing and showing up for themselves as well, so that they can see the business success that they're chasing after.
Oh, I absolutely love that. That's so interesting, isn't it? I did a poll on my stories the other day actually about how did you actually step into this role of, how did you enter the world of entrepreneurship? Because I think probably 90% of us women, it is through a form of necessity, as opposed to, I'm a born entrepreneur. I've always been like Richard Branson. We've got it in us, absolutely, that creative feminine energy, but a lot of us, until we're tested and we really have that deep connection to not return to corporate and to do something for ourselves, we won't necessarily do it. So were you working, you weren't working in marketing, or you were, sorry, when you were in corporate?
So I've been in marketing for over 20 years, so I had a flourishing marketing career. And I was living the dream, that corporate dream where you just start right at the bottom, work your way up right to the top. Lots of disposable income, flashy suits, lovely handbags, nice heels, all of that kind of stuff. I had that vision and I was living that life. And I really, really thought this is my life till the end of my days, until I had kids.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then I had a big wake up call that actually, and that saying that women can have it all, you can work, you can do this. And I was like, oh my God, I can't have it all because I'm tired, my body's aching, my kids don't even know who I am, and my boss thinks I'm an idiot. And, all this stuff was happening. And I was just like, what am I doing in this world? And I guess that's when the realization happened that I could either just keep moving job to find a job that fit around my lifestyle, or I design the life that I want. And the only way to do that was through entrepreneurship. And that's what led me here today.
Did you open up your own consultancy? How did that?
Yeah. So I literally went from working for someone else to working for myself, but doing exactly the same thing. So essentially, I just bought myself a job.
Yeah.
And I was doing exactly the same hours, pretty much for the same kind of people. And it was still, again, taking me away from my family. So for about a year and a half, I was kind of like coasting, doing this hustle, this grind, all these long hours for very little pay, actually. So I was working probably harder and earning less. And I was like, what dream did I just leave behind? And what's going on here? So it was just a bit of a crazy journey. And I think when the pandemic happened, it forced me to turn to other ways of marketing myself because I had no choice.
Yeah, but there's a blessing in that, isn't there? I had exactly the same experience as you, in that I was HR manager in corporate, working in London, traveling all around the UK, living my best life. I actually really enjoyed having the balance between like the kids and home life and being at work. I love my corporate identity. Like she was a badass. She always had like freshly washed hair.
Didn't take no shit from no one.
She wore heels. She ate lunch. It was very exciting.
Drank a hot cup of coffee.
Yes. It was all very exciting, coordinated outfits, freshly brushed hair. I mean, it was just all very exciting. And then I always think that the universe has bigger plans for us. Like we're conditioned to think and act in a certain way. It's very much, the 9 to 5 and our linear route to what success looks like. But the universe laughs and it's like, no, no, no.
Let you have your fun.
Yeah. Oh, bless you. So busy. We have other plans, and that's basically what happened for me. My mum was my main childcare. Suddenly she was very suddenly very ill, couldn't have them, and it just, you know yourself, when you're in corporate there is just very little, when you get to a certain level, a degree of flexibility that you can have in those roles. So I had to move into entrepreneurship, bought my own barbershop actually. Bizarrely, that's where I started. Had no business being in that industry. I had no idea what I was doing, but it was a very successful business, and then it just kind of followed on from other physical businesses. And I realized, like yourself, that I was now working 7 days a week, and I was now working from like 7 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, and I had all these responsibilities and staff that were coming to me, and just I was like, wow, how is this again, living the dream? Like, how is this better? Like, now I just get to take my kids with me if I need to. Like, oh wow, okay, that doesn't really feel like much of a dream to me. So yeah, I think I probably had that moment, and I would love to know, for anybody that's listening, if you also had some sort of moment that, the pandemic really changed things for you. So obviously for you, you had a physical business, didn't you, and then had to pivot and move things online? Or was that just from your own realization of thinking, actually, I'm just trading time for money like I was before, but perhaps in a different way?
I think I always knew I needed to change, but
Yeah.
I think it would have been evolutionary, like it would have just naturally happened over time. And I guess we live other people's truth, don't we, when it comes to business? That you think you just work hard for 20 years, build your business, and then it will start paying dividends and working itself out. So I always thought that. I thought, I'm in it for the long term. It's going to be a long game and things will just fall into place. But then obviously the pandemic happened and there was nothing falling into anywhere. You either sank or you swam. And that was the position I was in. And it was literally, I wasn't protected by furlough. I wasn't protected by literally any government scheme. And I had contract after contract cancelling for not only 2020, but 2021 as well. So I had nothing in the pipeline for the foreseeable future. And every time I looked up from my laptop, I just saw my kids looking at me, and I'm like, what am I going to do with these? Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay for stuff? How are we going to survive? And it just forced me to almost fast track my own business.
Yay, I
Nothing
love
like
that.
the pandemic to do that.
I know, God, if that wasn't like a kick up the butt for so many, and also, let you know what's possible. You always had this inside you, this creativity, these possibilities, this inspiration, these downloads, but you just never would have been forced to tap into it until something like this happened.
Yeah. Like I didn't even have an Instagram until lockdown happened.
Do you know what?
And then I
I
was
never
like, I
used
have to go on
Instagram for
Instagram now.
business. Yeah, I mean, oh God, I look back over my Instagram now from before that time. It was shocking. It was like, this is what I had for lunch. I was like, I was never going to monetize that platform. Who cares? But yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And it's moved very quickly. So I know a lot of people that those that could pivot and that had some sort of innate inkling, like intuitively knew, I need to get my business online. Those people that were able to pivot very quickly actually made a lot of money from it. So would you say that that was your position? Like, did you manage to adapt very quickly, or was it still a journey for you?
Well, I think there was a lot of resistance because I was like, I don't want to show up online. I'm such a private person. I don't want people to know what I had for lunch or what I'm wearing today or what my hair looks like or what I look like. And there was a lot of resistance with going online. And for me, I always felt it was temporary, right? Lockdown was only meant to be 3 weeks. So I felt, open my Instagram and then I'll close it again afterwards. And I thought it's only going to be temporary. And it was only because people were coming to me and asking for help. So especially like my friends, or they knew friends who were obviously suffering as well in lockdown. And they were like, do you know what? This is a brilliant chance for us to sort out our marketing. We know someone who does marketing. I was literally the best friend that done marketing.
Yeah.
And
In any
so he was,
friendship group, like you all have your assigned roles, don't they? You can be good
yeah,
at this thing, you can be that person. Yeah.
I was the marketing person, and they were like, brilliant. So my small business friends came to me and I started doing the marketing. I was like, oh, do you know what? There's something in here. Maybe this will tide me over.
Yeah.
Tide me over while the world like reopens again. And I look back now and I think, how naive was I?
Yeah.
And so I started doing it, and obviously the 3 weeks turned into 3 months,
Yeah.
turned into 5 months, which turned into 2 years. And then I guess I just saw the opportunity that I was getting. And actually, what I teach as well in terms of marketing, I was living and breathing it, where I was just attracting clients to me, and I didn't really have to go out and chase them. And I thought, do you know what, if I can do something like this, there's so many women struggling with it. And then it almost became like a passion project,
Yeah.
that I was like, do you know what, I'm going to make sure you guys succeed in business, especially those women that were on furlough. And they thought, do you know what, we've got a second chance to make our side hustle into a main business so we don't have to go back to corporate. So it became such a passionate project of mine to say, yes, and I'm going to help you do that. I was like, it felt like we were starting a rebellion against the corporate world and getting every female mother out of the corporate world living her
Yes.
best life.
I literally remember saying this. I feel like a bit of an anarchist. I'm like, leave your job, do it. Like, don't go back. Because once you're on the other side of it, you can really see how, unfulfilling it is as an individual, isn't it? To be part of that corporate mindset where, you only get so many days off a year, where you only get your weekends to really live your best life. You have to ask somebody permission all the time if you want to,
Absolutely.
take time off for your kids, or just, be available. And I don't know if you feel this, probably even more so because you have children, but I do. I feel that sense of responsibility to just be the change that you want to see. And I look at my kids, they're so different. Like, I mean, I have 5, so obviously there's quite a few, but they are so different at their very core. For me to try and even comprehend that they're going to go through the same schooling system, same like university system, and that they may end up in the same type of corporate jobs, just baffles me, because they are so wildly different. And do you think that for you, probably when you see like these little people evolving, you're like, actually, this doesn't make any sense?
Completely. And
Yeah.
if the last 2 days are anything to go by, like I mentioned, I was in Windsor Castle today on a
Yeah.
school trip, and I was at London Zoo yesterday on a school trip. And can you imagine, as the head of marketing in a FTSE 100 company, and you're telling your colleagues that you're going to London Zoo with your children's school, they wouldn't even take you seriously if you mentioned
Yeah.
something like that. And actually, for me, these last 2 days felt like success. The fact that I didn't even have to ask anyone if I could take the time off. I didn't have to do anything. I could just freely be present for my kids and their friends and go and hang out with them. And
Yeah.
it was just the best feeling in the world.
That is success, isn't it? Like you say, to
Yeah.
have that freedom. I think that is one of the true measures of success. And even better that you've been able to create that in your online business that perhaps you didn't even have in your physical business. Because I think I would have said the same thing when I was, when I had a ladies' hair salon, tattoo studio, like all of these different things, all required me still to be at certain places at certain times. And I've realized I'm actually like quite free spirited now as a person. I'm like, I don't want to be like governed by times. And even the school run feels like, what? But
I have to put my alarm on.
yeah, like what? But I'm like doing something really exciting, especially where I've got the 2 little ones that are still not quite yet at school. We're like at the park, and I'm like, oh my god, we've got to go home to like got to go home to go and get ready for the school run. It just seems really like, ugh. But
It's really funny, because even when I was in corporate, I'd have 6 months planned. I'd know what I was doing every weekend, every holiday, everything for the next 6 months. And now I don't commit to anything. I will not commit to anything, because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to feel. And I don't know what I'm going to want to do. And I literally will not commit to anything longer than
I
the next
love
2 weeks.
that. We are quite literally starting a rebellion, aren't we? I love
Rebellion,
that.
right?
Throw away your journals.
We should get some jackets made.
Oh my god, I definitely want to be part of that girl gang. Absolutely. Yeah. And I was like, maybe it's because I was 40 last week, so I was like, maybe it's that I'm getting older and I just literally do not want to conform. Like, no one can tell me anything anymore. I'm like, no, don't want to, can't make me.
We're turning into our kids, right?
Yeah, we're basically regressing.
Yes.
felt more empowering in my head. Oh, so again, we're very aligned in terms of the women that we feel called to serve. And I know you said offline a second ago when we were talking that it's particularly those really heart-led women that are here to serve the collective and, you know, the wider community and the world, no biggie, in a really beautiful, heartfelt way that you feel called to serve. Is there any like reason for that? Any, you know, what's been kind of ignited in you, do you think?
Yeah, so I think for me, it was when I first started my business, I obviously done it for the freedom, but it was also for the financials.
Yeah.
Like, I obviously wanted to earn the money. I was replacing, you know, the salary I was earning in corporate. So I was like, damn right, I want to earn money. And when I had to pivot online and during the lockdown, I find I was actually helping people through passion,
Yeah.
because that's all I had. I only had my passion. And I realized I was actually really passionate about helping these women. And that flicked a switch for me. And I found that every one of these women had a story,
Yeah.
and their business was born from a story, and something happened. And I was like, do you know what? I want to be part of that. I really want to be part of that story. I want to be the one that helps them get to where they want, or be the springboard that helps them just see what amazing stuff awaits them if they just take those steps into
Oh,
that space.
that's
And
so
that's
beautiful.
just what drives me. And I found I was just, you know, kind of honing in until I got to these soul-based business owners. And I was like, wow, there's some amazing creative beings out there that are just doing phenomenal. And why are they a secret? Why does no one know about them? And
Yeah.
I
What
just want to be part of that.
do you find with those sort of creatives though? It's almost like they feel like they can't charge for their work.
Yeah. They
And
can't charge, they can't show
yeah,
up, they
yeah,
can't talk, they can't do, you know, whatever. And I've found I've been investing in myself because I feel I owe it to the women I work with to help them with a deeper transformation in what they're trying to do. And
that's
it's just been an
amazing.
incredible journey, even for me.
Yeah, I absolutely love that because again, same thing for me. I came out of corporate very still. I don't know if you kind of know much about, you know, energy principles, but still very much in my masculine energy. Every
Yes.
every business I had was very male dominated because I've always worked in male industries where literally your success is in direct correlation to the amount that you work. So
Yeah.
I was used to like doing those 12-hour shifts, even I wasn't cutting hair or anything, like, let's be honest, I wasn't sitting there like really grinding like the people that actually work for me, bless them, on their feet all day doing hair, but still very much in my business 12 hours a day because that made me feel almost like worthy of the success that I was having. And that was just all I knew. And if I think of myself then and how little I work now, I'd be probably appalled actually. I'd be like, what a lazy cow. Like, God, she doesn't do anything. She just potters about having coffee. But the reality is, you don't need to work harder, do you? Like you say, it's just about having that real deep connection to your work and then having, you know, assistants like yourself or conduits like yourself that really help you to get visible. And essentially, that's how you magnetize those clients, isn't it? It's about being in alignment, being in your truth, and then just trying to amplify that so more people can find you. So would you agree that that is kind of how you, because obviously one of the part of your profile is about magnetic marketing, so not chasing, attracting, and I absolutely love that because I'm not your typical business coach either, and I think the same. Like, I could tell you, you know, the cookie cutter strategy that will probably get you some traction if you're consistent with it, but is that going to fill you with joy? Is that a business that you still want to be in
Yeah,
5 years
exactly.
time? Or are you going to burn out and just be absolutely miserable? Like you say, creating yourself another job. I'm all about doing it the fun way. So what do you think are the principles of that magnetic marketing? That
And I think that's it. I think it's about living your truth
mm,
and living the truth that you want to reveal to the world, because you can hide behind your corporate job, you can hide behind everything else, your family, everything, but one day the truth is going to come out. One day you're going to want to live your truth, and it's helping people bring that truth out to the world so that other people can see it and attract to it, so that they're not having to go and chase them. And I think one of the things that you mentioned about kind of these heart-led and soul-led business owners that, yes, they're super talented and they've got these amazing gifts, but they don't necessarily know the steps it takes. So yes, using people like us as guides just really helps them put those foundations and those layers into their business, so that they can actually put in a bit of strategy, put in a bit of planning, so that they can actually turn it into a fully fledged business, rather than that passion project or expensive hobby or
Yeah.
that side hustle.
Yeah,
And
pocket
they can
money
actually get more
businesses.
freedom out of it.
Yeah, because that's entirely possible for anybody. And I think a lot of the time as well, when I've worked with creatives or even like intuitive healers, and they never got into it with the intention of making money, so they feel like it's not possible. They're almost like their community keeps them small as well. I've seen where people are like, faith-based. I'm trying to think of some examples, but like, I work with a lot of psychics and yoga teachers and intuitive healers, and it's almost like frowned upon even within their industry to try and get too salesy and to like, oh, look at her, she's like, really, she's only in it for the money. Like, you're suddenly disingenuous if you want to feed your children and go on holiday.
Or keep your lights on.
Yeah, look at me having 3 meals a day, how fancy. Crazy, isn't it? Why we do it to ourselves but to others as well. So you mentioned actually when we were speaking that part of your heritage has it also aligns itself with that, where you are feeling pressures not only from society or the media or government or all of these other things, also within your own community as well. Are you happy to share any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from, I'm a Sikh. So by religion, I'm Sikh, and I'm South Asian in terms of my background. And religiously, as well as culturally, we're brought up to do a lot of volunteering. And in Punjabi, we would call that seva. And it would basically mean that you do a lot of charitable work and you help the needy, the people that need your support. If you've got something that you can support them with, you help and you support them, but there's no charge to it. It's literally charitable kind of donations. So people have taken that one step too far, and they feel you kind of owe them something. But one thing they don't realize, even our temples, so our religious temples offers free food to absolutely everybody. So you can walk into one of our temples and you can have free food. So they were absolutely brilliant over lockdown. They were supporting lots and lots of communities. But one thing they don't realize is what is actually happening is an exchange of energy.
Yeah.
So even though you're not giving money, sometimes you are actually, because when you do go to the temple, you do offer money and donations, and then in return you get all the stuff that the temple provides. So one thing that people forget is the money that you're giving to this spiritual or intuitive person is actually an exchange of energy, because they are requiring a lot of work, they are requiring a lot of guidance, and they need that exchange of energy to happen, to see those shifts in the universe. And that is something that takes a long time for people to get over, that actually they're not asking for money, they're asking for an energy exchange.
Yeah, I love that. What like, that's so beautiful as well, that it's all just about service. Like, selling is serving, isn't it, essentially? And I always do bring that back in when people are trying to overcomplicate, the ego gets in the way, like the specific numbers, like launches, all of these things. It's just about how can I be of service in this world.
Exactly that. And
It is,
chances
isn't
are
it?
you don't have to shop Prada.
Yeah.
If you need clothes, you don't have to shop Prada. You've got a wide variety of shops you can go to that fit your budget, but it's that energy exchange that you have. I give you money, you give me clothes. That's an exchange of energy. Exactly the same with people you work with and the services you get. It's an exchange of energy, and you can just offer different levels of service to fit different price points, but
Yeah,
there should always be that energetic exchange that is equal. So what
absolutely.
you're sending out, what you're giving out is equal to what you're getting back.
Yeah, and a lot of the time when it comes to sales, I know we're kind of going off track, but people make it about themselves, don't they? As in, what am I worth? What is my service worth? But I always like to think it's the step, isn't it, that person needs to take in order to heal themselves, take their business to the next level, to essentially benefit from your service. So in you allowing and being open to receiving, then they are then able to to make that symbolic gesture. And I have to say, we're obviously in a mastermind together, and for me, this was like my next level of growth. So it was so symbolic for me to be able to invest in myself, invest in my business. And it felt bloody amazing to be able to, pay for that, really feel that expansion, that growth, like that excitement. And so many great things have come from the back of that. Even just this exchange now has been fantastic. And I knew it would be. I was so excited. But that's the thing, for you to not charge or not sell your services, that person will never experience that. So it's like, it's not even about you, it's about the other person. And sometimes it's hard to get your head around that.
Yeah, and it's not even about, say, who we know, it's the impact that we're here to make with people that probably aren't even born yet, that haven't even landed on this planet yet. And you want to try and impact as many people as you can. And sometimes you need those professional services, you need those people that are trained to support you and guide you in what you want to do. And obviously for that, there is that exchange. And if you look historically at people like Mother Teresa, people like Gandhi, all these people that helped communities for free, there was an energy exchange. They were clothed, they were housed, they were fed, they were watered. There was an exchange of energy. Nothing was actually done for free. Yeah. And I think it's just been diluted over the years that we have this free stuff, but it's not. There's always been that energy exchange. It's just in today's world, it's monetary, whereas previous worlds, it's been service-based.
Yeah, definitely. It's so interesting as well, isn't it? How just when I speak to anybody that's really connected to their faith, it is all about that service mindset, and it's just so beautiful, like to have that as a guiding principle in life. That your moral compass always comes back to, how can I make the world better? When I leave this world, how can I leave it in a better place than when I started? And that's really beautiful. But for those, like, just my experience, obviously I'm broadly generalizing, but the people that aren't necessarily connected to that, typically, like the collective mindset, particularly before the pandemic, I think it was going down a really dark path where people were just, what can I get? What's in it for me? And that's the thing that I love about the pandemic so much, is that it really brought us back to, and it's like remembering who you are at your core, but like really brought us back to, we are all one, and we are all just here to help each other. Like, God, I was pregnant for most of it and breastfeeding in the first lockdown. So can you imagine how hormonal I was? Every time I turned on the news and it'd be clapped for the NHS, I would be crying. It was just so beautiful. I was like, God, this is what the world needs, that reminder that we are all just here together, as spiritual beings, just sort of making our way in the world, and we're all connected.
Do you know what? We're not actually here to save the world.
Yeah, well, no, I guess not. No,
we're not here to save the world. We're here to save the people that we're here to serve.
Yeah.
And that's it. Whether that's one person, 10 or a million, we're not here to save the entire universe, because as a collective, we will do that, but not as an individual. So we should be focusing on our community, on the people that are closest to us that we can impact, because they're the ones that will go and create that kind of ripple effect that will actually...
There's a saying, isn't there, Gurjinder, about that? How do I change the world or something? It's like, go home and love your family. Who
one person at a time. One person at a time.
Yeah, someone famous said that, and that's really annoying. I can't remember who that quote is by. Definitely wasn't me.
But it is true. It's you just look after the closest network around you, and the world will look after itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. And it is just about, because the ripple effects of the light that you shine, you won't even necessarily feel it, but that collectively,
just know it's there, just know it's radiating, it's doing its work.
Yeah, definitely.
Have that belief, have that faith.
Definitely. I had a really angry person give me road rage, and I'm like, I'm sending you love right now, whether you want to receive it or not. Yeah, you need it more than I do. God, I really hope I don't see you at the next set of traffic lights. Like, I'm sending you love.
It's like, if you say 2 + 2 is 5, you can have that.
Oh, so before I obviously when I knew that I was coming on to speak with you, I went to my community inside my membership group, the Fempreneur Society, to see what they would like to know, essentially, what they would find helpful. Because again, like I say, I've got a lot of heart-led solopreneur type business owners in there that are either starting up or looking to scale, so looking for that next level of growth. And it time and time again, it's always visibility that comes up as a problem. If it isn't themselves sort of holding themselves back energetically, unconsciously, it's physically like getting themselves out there. So what would kind of be your top tips for anybody who is either looking to start or actually just made that decision, I'm ready to get out there, get more visible on a bigger scale? What are kind of like your main principles that you would take somebody through as a client?
So one of the things I would always say, and I will go a bit woo-woo on this because I know your audience can handle it. But one of the things with all of us, Rebecca and I included, we came to this world as an answer to somebody's prayers. And that's the same with every one of you listening. Somebody whispered in their dreams, whispered just before they were going to bed, prayed to their God for somebody like you to come along. And if you don't show up, you're actually not answering someone's prayers. If you're existing, if you're breathing, if you're even listening to this right now, you are here to answer someone's prayer. And just don't hide your magic. Get out there and show it to the world, because you just don't know whose prayer it is you're answering. And it's almost like having the cure for cancer and not sharing it with people. Now, if you had the cure for cancer, you'd be running around like a mad woman shouting on the street tops that I've got the cure for cancer. Exactly in that same way, what you do as a business, what you do as a creative, as a healer, as an intuitive coach, what you do as a soulpreneur is you have the equivalent of the cure for cancer for your audience, and you really need to go and get it out to as many people as you can, because they are people out there that are desperate for what it is you're offering, and you really need to lean into that and anchor into that truth that you're here for that reason. And you can hide from it as much as you want, but one day you're going to come to that realization. So please, please, please don't hold back and don't hide. Just do not be the world's best kept secret. And I guess one of the things as well, Rebecca, like we would never go to a party and go and sit in the toilet.
No.
For the whole night. And then
not unless there was an ex there or something.
Unless you've had a really great time and at the end of the night you end up in there. So it's exactly the same thing. You wouldn't start a business if you then just wanted to shy away from it. So you've got it in you that you know you've got a magical power, that you know you're here to do far more than what you're doing at the moment. And you just need to get the support you need to just navigate this world that we're in, because it is full of a lot of trauma and there is full of a lot of, you know, limiting beliefs and stuff, but just get the support you need, because it will help you quantum leap in ways you would never have imagined.
Yeah, I love that. I love that potential, that possibility, that whole world of quantum leaping, because it's so entirely possible, isn't it? Your whole life can change in an instant. As we've done, we've kind of changed our trajectory quite rapid, like quite sharply, from the paths that we thought we were on. And it's like sliding doors, isn't it? Who knows where we would be otherwise if I had managed to sort my childcare out.
Absolutely, you'd be owning that company now. But it's one of those things that if you can imagine it, it's happened.
Yeah,
you just haven't realized it yet.
So have you done any, like, are you an expert in any of that sort of quantum physics?
So that's what I'm training in. So I'm a training quantum coach.
Yay.
So I'm actually helping now my clients in a quantum way of really elevating their marketing. So looking at their messaging, their quantum messaging, their ideal clients in a much deeper way, so that they become so soul aligned with absolutely everything that they do. So it's really soul to soul work.
I love that.
You know, in that quantum realm, we've all met before, right? We've all met before. Our souls are so connected. No one is here on chance or by chance. We're all here for a reason, and it's just uncovering what those reasons are and why we're actually here helping the people that we want to help, because there's some unfinished business.
Yeah, I really believe that. I really do. And I truly, it just always knew intuitively, when you turn up with your best energy, you cannot help but attract people in, because they can feel that energy. So even now, I'm like a NLP practitioner, and even unconsciously, I know that this works at an unconscious level, because we're always looking for the authority in a room. So if you're turning up with command, presence, and authority, people will respond to that, even if they don't know why. It's because, we're tribal beings. But to add in the next layer of the quantum realm as well, and the spiritual aspect, it's just, everything makes sense, doesn't it? All lines up, it all confirms, one modality confirms another, which I really love. So how, other than, so is it about, for you, I guess, when you're working with clients in a marketing sense, is it about getting really connected to your why, to your purpose, your connection to your work, so that, when you're getting out there, you're speaking from your soul, you're connecting, like you say, on a soul to soul basis, so everything has purpose and impact. Is that kind of the work that you do, or is it, turn up live once a week? Like, how much do you get into the strategy? Is it more just, like you say, being aligned to the whole thing as a, like, almost like a brand story?
Yeah, would you believe I've never live launched, and I've never gone live on Instagram. So definitely there are not cookie cutter strategies that I teach. If it's part of your soul's calling, absolutely you do it. But yes, it's more looking at the mindset around what you're here to do and the purpose you're here, for. And I guess it's not even the purpose you're here for, it's just remembering. It's just remembering what you came here to do, and uncovering that, and also any limiting beliefs that come with that, because obviously we have been humans for how many of a year, so we're undoing everything that we've kind of learned. And then on the flip side, helping with the marketing, because we need that energy exchange. We need to keep the lights on. We need to do all of that stuff. So you still need to be able to monetize whatever it is you're doing, because you need that energy exchange in return. And just working out what it is that your soul feels comfortable doing, and it feels authentic, because then you will just attract those equally soul aligned clients.
Yeah, this is where I feel, and you might feel the same, that the sort of online space really lets itself down at the moment. When you look at marketing, it is very much fear-based marketing, isn't it? Where it's like, if you don't, like, I just made £1 million before I got out of bed, and if you don't do my one signature strategy, then you're never going to make any money. And, all of it, like, and this will happen and that will happen. And it just feels so sad, really.
It is really sad.
Because that people are buying into these things, and it's like, they're never going to get the impact that person necessarily has, because they haven't got the connection to that work. It's not the right container, or not the right vehicle for you. It's about finding your way, and like you say, staying in your zone of genius, staying with the activities and the strategies that really light you up. So like you're saying, I've never done an IGTV. Like, that's amazing that you've had such a successful business, and you've worked with so many clients, and you're staying true to what feels good.
I've never gone live, and it's not that I don't want to. I would do it. I wouldn't know how to do it, obviously, but I've got no limiting beliefs around doing it, but I've never had to do it. And and that's the key there, that you don't have to do anything. You only do the bits that your heart lights up at, that you light up at, that you enjoy doing. Like, I love meeting people, so I'd happily meet a bunch of women for dinner, or over lunch or something. Best way of doing business.
Absolutely.
And just like, I'd rather get together on a Zoom call with 2 or 3 really interesting people than go live in front of a completely random audience.
Like cold audience.
And it's just working on those aligned pieces of marketing that can just help quantum leap your business.
It's so funny, actually, because when I speak with the ladies inside the society, a lot of the time they're like, oh, I've seen online, I need to be doing this, and it's almost like there's an element of comfort, isn't there, by hiding behind like automations and funnels, and and all these little trends, hacks, and reels and things, where you're kind of hiding your voice and all of these things. And when I say to them, how many people have you actually spoken to? Like, how many people, even in the DMs, like, just send somebody a voice note, like, have a conversation. I think because I have, like I say, started my business offline, I prefer that way too. I'm not bothered about networking. I love to get together with people and physically, like, feel the energy in a room and get like women together and just let the conversation flow. Like, that feels really exciting to me. But yet it strikes fear into like the hearts of some of my clients when I'm like, have you actually even spoken to anybody? Have you even asked any of your friends? Have you tapped into your current network? And they would far like prefer to supersede like all of the like actual people that they have in their life that could help them to build their business, and instead go to cold audiences on Instagram via hashtags and send them through a funnel. And it's like, wow, where is the connection on that? But equally, I had a client the other day and she was like, I need to bring in more clients. What can I do? And I said, serve the clients that you've got. And she was like, well, yeah, I'm doing that anyway. And I'm like, but you're not, because you're already moving on to the next client before you've even dealt with the ones that you've got. And the reality is, if you give them a really great service, like really make it memorable. I've got clients that have bought from me 3-4 times. They have evolved with me as my business has evolved with me. They've also sent me referrals, and 90% of my business, I would say, is actually on referrals. And I think that's a really great place to be, because you're never at the mercy of one thing. So if Instagram goes, if your Facebook gets hacked, or another pandemic, you've always got layers to your business that you're never really exposed. And she went away and she was like, I've really thought about what you said, and you're right. Actually, I'm always looking for the new client and not thinking about the ones that I've already got, because I'm on this hustle. Like, I'm in that mindset where it's just about the next client, next milestone, and I'm like, you are making it way harder than you need to. And also, if I was that client, I would feel that energy, wouldn't you? I think I would feel that.
Absolutely. And it is very energetic in what you put out to the universe. That's what you just get back.
Yeah.
And vibrationally, that's where you need to work on to make sure you're not actually releasing the wrong kind of energy.
Yeah, definitely. So what does your daily practices? I'm always like fascinated by successful women, because some of them absolutely wing it and they must just be really in their feminine and energy and like really intuitively led. And then others are like really regimented. So what kind of, like, with their morning routines and workouts and like vitamins and all of these things, where would you say that you fall on that? How do you set yourself up for success?
Oh my God, I'm probably the least regimented person as they come. And I think this goes back to, when I was in corporate, I was same like you. I was very in my masculine energy, very regimented. It was Groundhog Day every single day. I could go through the day with my eyes closed. Whereas now I'm very much getting more and more in tune with my feminine energy and really leaning into what I need each day or each week, because it differs so much. So some days my soul just wants to watch Love Island or Selling Sunset and just feeding it that junk. And I will do that. Whereas there's other days that I need to get into a deep meditative practice to really change up vibrations, or, whatever it is. So I'm getting better at just leaning into what my soul actually requires. Sometimes, it just wants to eat some junk food. It wants to enjoy the pleasures of being human and just doing stuff. Other days, it's just like, just give me some real nourishing food. Just feed me some nourishing food. And it's just leaning into whatever it is you need. And here's the thing as well, that there's, again, no one strategy that works for everybody. And you've just got to work out what is good for you and what's good for your soul, and leaning into that and doing more of it. Just getting to know yourself the best that you can get to know yourself.
Yeah, I'd love to know, actually, just out of interest, slight side note, if you work with the moon's energy at all, because what you've said is very much in line with the moon's energy, isn't it? Where sometimes you retreat and sometimes you go all out.
And do you know what? It really is. And I haven't studied it really deeply, but it's always there. It's always there for me. And I know that my behaviors, my moods, my creativity is all based on the moon cycles. And it's true, like, our bodies are made up of water and we are the divine feminine energy. So it just makes sense that we just do lean into energetically how we're feeling and how, you know, our cycles are going, and literally just leaning into that energy.
Yeah, rather than trying to force it when it doesn't feel right and trying to push through. And as women, we are, you know, that is our kind of standard. I was going to say DMO, but I mean like DNA, I think, as in we are just programmed from a very young age, aren't we, to be good girls, to like be
Listen to
helpful.
everybody, and
Yeah,
yeah.
being intuitive to everybody else's needs around us, then particularly as a mother. You know, I can look at the baby and I'm like, oh my God, right, she's either gonna be sick or she needs the toilet, or, you know, like literally just even looking at her face, I'm so at one with the baby. And yet some days I forget that I haven't even eaten, or I forgot I needed a wee about 3 hours ago. I should probably go and do that. It's funny, isn't it, how disconnected we can become from ourselves. So I love that you're really encouraging women to just, like you say, get back
Get
to
to know
remembering who
yourselves.
you are,
Yeah.
why you're here, and what works for you. So I just,
Sometimes,
yeah,
just a point to add on that as well,
yeah,
sometimes my best coaching advice has been to watch Netflix and eat a burger.
yeah. Oh
That's
yes,
what you
oh my
just need
God, I need to
sometimes.
sign me up.
Yeah, and that's what you just need sometimes. And
Yeah,
it feels like as women, we're waiting for that permission
yes,
from somebody to say, do you know what, just take it easy this week. Just
yeah,
don't do anything. Because I think sometimes as business owners, we feel we have to do something every single day, or we have to be producing or creating, or, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But actually, the best thing you can sometimes do for your business is just be, and
yeah.
just be at one with yourself and not do anything.
Yeah, it's funny because the times where I've really taken time out, either for the baby or just other like holidays or other things, that's been the time where I have just received the most unexpected blessings. Like,
Yeah.
you know, pipelines, but fun, like things that I wouldn't have even tapped into. Like clients will come to me from away that I'm like, it's like the 10 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon. I'm like, how the hell did you find me through that person and that person? Like, what? We're like trying to unpick how this even happened. And that's when you've got to open yourself up to receive, haven't you, and to be available for those sort of, you know, funny little quirks from the universe when they decide to send you clients from something really bizarre. I actually got a client the other day from being a guest expert in a membership that I've never even heard of. I was like, oh,
Brilliant.
they were like, I saw you in this membership, it was really like, you were amazing. I was like, oh, thanks so much. Got no idea who that is. Maybe in a previous life, possibly. But
Love it.
obviously I went with it, but you know, thanks so much. But the last thing I just wanted to touch on that I also think is really, really good, as much as it is about, you know, you've, like you said before, you've touched on, you've got to have some element of structure and strategy to your business. I've seen that you really are like a fan of the CEO days, which
Yes.
I really am as well. And I think as women, you've got to have those check-in points in life. And if you,
Absolutely.
especially if you get to make it fancy. So I know that, is it tomorrow that you've got something as well?
So mine's on Saturday, yeah. So I've
Yeah.
actually
Oh,
got one on Saturday, and it's the first one that I'm running in person, which
yeah.
I'm really, really excited about. And I think one of the things that I'm really excited about the most is I have 2 CEO days a week.
A week. Okay.
Yeah, so I actually
Oh,
take 2 days out a week to just work on myself and on my business rather than in it. And I think it's the difference between coasting in your business and actually growing, and the difference between, I find, an actual business owner to an entrepreneur.
yeah. Yeah.
And actually having these CEO days makes you so much more expansive and so much more in the kind of creation mode, because you're giving yourself that space, you're giving yourself that breather. And like you said, sometimes the biggest downloads come when you least expect it. So I've been a massive fan of CEO days, and since I implemented them in my business, I've, you know, really massively seen the growth and the quantum leap in the business. And it's just my way of kind of showing back to my audience as well, that guys, taking these regular days can really, really help your business. So a lot of the women that are coming on Saturday have never ever taken this time out for themselves to just reflect on their business. So
Yeah.
it's
So
going to
what
be
kind of thing
absolutely amazing.
do you cover? Like for
So
anybody
a
who's
lot of
wanting
it is
to,
around
yeah,
reflection. So we're going to be
yeah.
reflecting, and I'm going to be coaching them and guiding them through a lot of reflection. So I'm also a positive psychology coach. So I'll be using a lot of tools to help them reflect on pretty much every area of their life, because it's not just about your business, it's how it integrates with everything else that you do. And then I'm going to add in some layers of strategy and some layers of kind of figures and the real business stuff that we were probably used to in corporate, but it will massively, massively help people think about their business as a proper business and shift away from that hobby or that passion project that it might have actually started off as.
Yeah, because sometimes people can't see the potential, can they? When you're in it, it's very hard to see, actually, if I just let a few things go or stepped back a little or you know, got a bit cleverer with my time, there's so much potential in this business. God, I wish I'd known about all of this in my my offline businesses previously, because that was just not the kind of thing that I would even have the time to do, but actually would have been such a great tool to, like you say, really have that moment of reflection. What's working, what isn't? Have those really discerning check-in points. Like I know, because obviously I'm a money mindset coach as well, that sometimes as women, you know, we really struggle to look at the finances and the, you know, to get into the detail of our business. But that is essentially the measure of, you know, what you can and can't do. And you know, you've really got to get comfortable and intimate with that relationship with money. It's like anything, isn't it? Like you've got to
get
really,
comfortable talking about
yeah,
profit.
yes,
And talking about
yes,
sales.
yes,
And
yes,
talking about profit, talking about loss. You've got to get really comfortable talking, and you've got to be comfortable adding zeros.
Yes.
And taking zeros away. And there's energy attached to all of that kind of stuff. And it's just normalizing it and getting people comfortable with that, because chances are you probably don't, you know, chances are you've got a job and you're working, you're bringing some money in, and you probably invest that in whatever your business is, and you're not really looking at that kind of cash flow. And hope that didn't trigger anyone either when I mentioned cash flow, but it's just getting used to these kind of words.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you've noticed, but as a money mindset coach, I've really noticed the correlation between the women that tell me that they have no money and the women that also tell me that they have no time. It's like that really goes hand in hand, doesn't it? Typically when people are not sure of what's going on with their money, where is it, like, I had money, where is it gone? You know, they're also the people that are like, I've never got any time, I can't prioritize this, my days, like their days run them as opposed to the other way round. So if you can get into those good habits, then it kind of takes care of itself. Do you find that as in the relationship between time and money is quite interlinked?
Absolutely. And also one other thing with the money, it's not only earning the money, but it's holding on to it.
Yeah.
So if you can't hold on to £1 or £10 or £20, you won't be able to hold on to 1,000, 10,000 or 20,000. So it's really, really important to understand what your relationship with money is like, and what it's also like when you've got it.
Yeah.
When you've got it, when it comes, when it lands in your bank account, when you're holding it physically in your hand, how is that making you feel? What is it bringing up for you? And actually trying to overcome that. And one of the things with time, one of the things I always say, which I guess will probably take no more explaining once I've said it, but we actually have the same hours in the day as Beyonce,
Yeah.
as Kim Kardashian,
Yeah.
as Richard Branson. We all have the same hours in our day as all of these guys. And yes, I know you might say that they're earning millions, they've got chefs, they've got all of this stuff, but they all started where we were. They all started without any of that, but they still have the same hours in their day.
Yeah, because I used to almost be a little bit of a victim, in the sense that I'd be like, oh, but it's not, all time isn't created equal, in the sense that obviously I'm a single parent, 5 kids, and my youngest being quite small. It's like, we don't have the same 24 hours. However, it's like how you spend it, isn't it? That what they have that I didn't have was better boundaries. Knowing when to invest in support at home and in your business, that means that you can step into that CEO, like you say, where you're running your business, not on your business. They have just learned how to ask for help, how to set boundaries, when to invest, how to be supported. That's the only difference. So you are absolutely right. We all have the same 24 hours and the same options available to us at a soul level. So it's, you know, what changes are you prepared to make in order to get
Absolutely.
that?
And I think that's one thing as well, that one thing they do have maybe over us is this unshakable truth.
Yes.
That they are going to make it.
Yeah.
That
It is,
they
that's
are
so
not
true,
going to
isn't it?
stop until they get to their truth. and that's what they know. And you know, if anyone's followed Beyonce's journey, she will perform for 9 months. She will practice for 9 months for a 2-hour performance.
Crazy.
And that shows you what her unshakable truth is around making that performance the most amazing of her life.
Yeah.
And if we think about what we do, you know, I wouldn't do that. I would have started probably a month before, if not a week before, to practice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm all about, I'm like, I need to be in flow.
Yeah. Needs to be the right time of the month.
Yeah.
And it's just, they've got that unshakable truth, which is we will do whatever it takes to get to where we want to be. And if you don't have that about your life, that's something, you know, that needs to be worked on, because you should have that unshakable truth, that mission, that purpose, and that drive for you to get to where you want to be. And on the flip side, there's absolutely nothing wrong with not wanting to be a millionaire, not wanting to go full-time in your business, not wanting to do all of those stuff, as long as it's intentional. As long as it's
not coming from a place of it's not available for me, so therefore I'm not even going to try. And it's I just, you know, to wrap it up, I think definitely what you've just said there about Beyonce and everything, it all just comes back to their commitment to serve, which is exactly what we've been talking about this whole time. So that's really interesting, isn't it? I've never really sort of made that connection, but this is what I love about these conversations with incredible women like yourself. It's just, you know, really affirming a lot of things that I already believe, but more women need to really have these
hear it from different angles.
Yeah, definitely.
You
Have
just
these
don't know when it's going to
conversations.
resonate.
Yes, amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm so excited to I was so excited to speak to you anyway, but now it's like, yes, I just know we'll obviously have like that soul connection. We're going to LA together shortly. Yes, definitely. And I just love everything that you're saying about being really, you know, authentic, and then the organic growth will come with that, stepping into your power, being true to yourself, remembering who you are, showing up with your best energy from a place of service, and that will give you those results that you want. So that sounds amazing. If anybody wants to find you, obviously I'll put all of your details in the show notes. The audiogram is actually going to go out tomorrow, because I get a really great turnaround on this, so there will still be time for anybody listening to perhaps join you on Saturday still.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a link in my bio if anyone wants to join. All the details are there, so do go and grab yourself a spot. It's in central London as well, so really easy to get to.
Amazing.
And I'd love to see more of you there.
Yay, thank you so much.